Alice cinema, created by she, her, continued by he, him. And we're back. How we doing out there? Good, great, grand, and wonderful. As you see on your screen, your dial, however you are joining us today, I appreciate you. Adrian Ellis coming in hot with that fucking theme. I love it. I love it. I don't love this. Well, I do. You know what? It's time to stop lying to the masses. I really don't like doing this. You mention it every time, Sean, so why don't you stop doing it? Well, if you'd seen the box that the distributor just sent to me, Jesus Christ. I think I counted 24 to 27 movies, and if you look at the bonus features on all that, well, hell, you're talking about at least 100 hours of content. And for those of you that don't know, I have a fucking day job. I have a fucking day job, mate. As you see on your screen, your dial. Legend. 1985. Not the Tom Hardy led. Tom Hardy as plays two people. Not that one. Not that one. This one is about a world full of magic, wonder, and desire. After changing the face of science fiction cinema forever with Alien and Blade Runner, director Ridley Scott turned his visionary eye to the fantasy genre, teaming with writer William Hirschberg of Angel Heart to create a breathtaking cinematic fairy tale with one of the screen's most astonishingly rendered depictions of evil. Not only evil, I mean the practical effects off the fucking charts here, but the world that they created. The world that they created. In an idyllic, sun-dappled forest, the pure-hearted Jack, played by Tom Cruise, yes, pure-hearted Jack, takes his true love, Princess Lily, played by Mia Sara, Princess Lily, to see a pair of unicorns frolicking at the forest's edge. Unicorns frolicking at the forest's edge. Little do they know, however, the Lord of Darkness, played by Tim Curry, and just unfucking believable makeup and creature effects. Unfucking believable. In fact, makeup designed by The Thing's Rob Bottin. Actually, we just talked about old Rob Bottin on RoboCop. God damn, I guess it's a Rob Bottin week. The Lord of Darkness has dispatched his minions to capture the unicorns and sever their horns so they may plunge the world into everlasting night. I would have preferred if the line was, plunge the world into everlasting darkness. After Lily and the unicorns are taken prisoner because Lily's dumbass just had to get close to the unicorn, she was told not to. She was told not to, and she was like, why? And she goes and, well, she's the one that starts this whole shit. Starts this whole reign of terror by the Lord of Darkness, Tim Curry. She starts it. Some Adam and Eve shit. Why does the woman always have to be to blame? I don't know, because men write the shit. But nevertheless, no different here. After Lily and the unicorns are taken prisoner, Jack must team with a group of forest creatures, fairies, trolls, and descend into darkness's subterranean lair to face off against the devilish creature before it's too late. This is pretty wild. Despite a troubled production in which the elaborate full-size forest, hear me now, so the set design, production design, they made a full-sized forest for this film. Something that we don't fucking do in movies anymore at all. We would rely on heavy special effects, and I could go either way on this in terms of, so here's what happened to that forest. Despite a troubled production in which the elaborate full-size forest was accidentally incinerated. It fucking burned to the ground, this full-size fake forest, and it looks so good. This Arrow video transfer of Legend was fantastic, and I gotta be honest, I watched the director's cut and the theatrical. Obviously, no question which one I liked better. This movie, I think, was just ahead of its time. You look at some of these practical effects of the creatures from the forest, and I tell you right now, the first thing that comes to your mind is Lord of the Rings. Like, that's how good some of the trolls and orcs look like, and demons at the Lord of Darkness's side. But that, I was just thinking, man, this was fucking 20 years before Lord of the Rings. 20 motherfucking years. The forest was accidentally incinerated in a lengthy post-production that resulted in multiple versions of the film. Also, with competing music scores, which I found this interesting, by the very talented Jerry Goldsmith. Competing music scores by Jerry Goldsmith and Tangerine Dream. Tangerine Dream. Isn't that a band, Sean? Yes, this is back in the 80s, where they used to do theme songs for fucking movies. I kind of miss those days. You know, I want to be buried in a pet cemetery. You know, the Ramones doing a Pet Cemetery theme. Legend has since been restored to Scott's original cut and embraced by generations of film fans eager to see the master director's unique vision of a world beyond our imagination. And I was geeking so hard on everything that you see before you is real. You know, these unicorns. You know, I kind of felt bad because I can't even imagine what it would have taken by the animal master to have these unicorns on top of these horses' heads, and to get some of the very beautiful shots that they did, even though we had to run some of them back. What I'm saying is reuse them a little bit, just because, well, they're animals. But it's just wild to think that a production so large, you have a full-size forest on display, and now you're bringing animals in. It's just a really, I got warm-hearted thinking of just. And I do this from time to time. I just miss old Hollywood in a sense. I don't miss what was going on behind the scenes in old Hollywood, but it just the element of real. I feel like we're starting to distance ourselves from in the fantasy. Well, Shaw and Marvel, I get you. And it's not to say that I don't appreciate what comes out now. It hits a little different for someone born into it, molded by it. I didn't see the light until I was already a man, and by then it was nothing to me but blinding. Sorry, I don't know why I went full Bane, but that's kind of how I feel about it. I was molded by these practical effects. I can remember watching this movie when I was growing up over and over and over again. And I can see why. I can see why there was an attraction to it back then as much as there is now. Especially now that fantasy is much more widely accepted than when this came out. You know, there's still a heavy amount of toxic white males that roam the planet. But what I mean by that is, like, you know, you couldn't go to school and talk about, when I was growing up, you couldn't go to school and talking about how you loved Legend and unicorns. You'd get the shit kicked out of you. And it's not a good thing. But now, at the time when this came out, I couldn't defend myself. But now, I wish a motherfucker would come up and tell me something homophobic about Legend. I'll smack your face right in front of your mom. But it's true. It's true. Like, now that I'm older, I got to even appreciate it on a much, well, obviously I'm older, more mature, not by a lot, but more mature, nonetheless, more mature. I got to appreciate it on so many more levels than I did when I initially watched it. And I don't think that I've seen this movie in 20 years. Not that I needed to. Like I said, I really took the VHS of Legend to the cleaner when I watched it growing up, because I'm kidding you, it's a staple of my childhood. I feel kind of like some people went the Dark Crystal route, and then other people went the Legend route, or there's people that went both. But I didn't really get into Dark Crystal for absolutely no reason whatsoever when I was growing up. But Legend, staple, baby. A staple. Legend and Abbott and Costello movies. It's probably why I'm as fucked up as I am now. I don't think, not that they're, look, Abbott and Costello movies are great and everything. I just don't know if a kid of the 80s should be raised on Universal monster movies and Abbott and Costello. I think it creates a false sense of what reality really is. You know, you need to be watching stuff that's culturally relevant, like your peers. You know, everybody else was going to school and be like, oh, did you see He-Man and stuff? And I'm like, oh, I watched a little bit of it, but then my dad made me watch Creature from the Black Lagoon for the 800th time. And, you know, just part of living. But I remember feeling very insecure to discuss with my peers about how much I loved Legend and the unicorns and the battle between the light and the darkness. And now, I'll fight you. Legend, you know, starring the Tom Cruise, Mia Sari, Tim Curry, Dave Bennett, Alice Playton, Billy Barty, Cork Hubert. Just goddamn elite cinematography by Alex Thompson to create this wonderful fantasy world. I loved it. It looks so good, very polished, almost like a glamour photo shoot, and it fits. And although it was not a commercial success when it was first released, it did win, by the nomination of the British Society of Cinematographers, the award for Best Cinematography in 1985 for Alex Thompson. And as well was nominated for multiple awards, with the Oscars for Best Makeup, Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Film Saturn Award for Best Makeup, BAFTA Awards for Best Costume Design, Best Makeup Artist, Best Special Visual Effects, and just exclusive awards. The Young Artist Award since its premiere. And, you know, subsequently, we were able to, because of the popularity in the end, we were able to catch a director's cut of it. And, I mean, in this particular box set by Arrow, I don't think another fucking... I don't think we need a fucking 40-year anniversary. I don't think we need a 50-year anniversary. There is so much good shit on this Arrow video release. It is bananas. A brand new 2K restoration of the U.S. theatrical cut from the original film materials, including a 4K scan of the original camera negative. We got new commentaries by Paul M. Salmon, author of Ridley Scott, The Making of His Movies. A reconstructed, isolated score track by Tangerine Dream, and it's actually from 2002, a little remastering version 15 years later. Isolated music and effects tracks, Remembering a Legend, a brand new featurette, interviewing Grip Dave Codwadler, production supervisor Hugh Harlow. I can't even... Some of the stuff that they were talking about in there, like, it... All I can tell you, I mean, I won't ruin anything for you for the movie or the bonus features. We just... Oh... We are on to the future. And look, I'm sure Ridley would even attest to this. Like, I'm sure there's certain things that exist nowadays that would have helped him tremendously back in the day. But I'm one of those people where, so we are talking about a creative art with movies, right? I think back then when things like this were as hard to put together as they were, because this is not a small production, I think it forced you to be more creative. I really did. Whereas, like, now, like, you know, like Ridley Scott walked into, pre-production meeting and was like, hey, we're making a forest. What do you mean? Like an actual fucking forest. And I think to force your brain to figure out how to do that, it made for a much more engaging world. I wholeheartedly believe that. Whereas nowadays, I feel if this was made, Ridley Scott would walk into pre-production and say, where are my visual effects guys? Where's my CGI guys? Hey, I need you to create a forest. That's it. Look, I'm not taking away from the amazingly talented computer effects artists. I'm not at all. I think in some sense, you know, it's made it's made it easier for pieces that you wouldn't normally think that you would get to see, or pieces that wouldn't normally get off the ground, a lot easier to put together. However, my engagement is still going to be affected by that. I think I've kind of put things in a perspective for you. Let's keep it small. Let's not talk about world building. So, if you remember, for those of you that are habitual listeners, if you remember my 3 from Hell podcast, I was really bent out of shape about Rob Zombie using computer-generated effects for the bullet holes, the squibs that it would have been on 3 from, like, it's a horror film. 3 serial murderers, rapists, necrophiliacs. I want to see the real blood and gore, but Sean, the Alec Baldwin Rust incident, I know what you're saying, and let's not downplay the horror of that particular situation. I can't even imagine what it would feel like to be Alec Baldwin and be told, like, hey, this gun's good to go, got nothing to worry about it, and someone dies right in front of your eyes when you're not expecting that. But I really think that we need to look big picture as well. How many times do you read about squibs or blanks killing people? Answer, not often. Not even once a year, twice a year. Okay? So, as long as it's done properly by a professional, I think it can have some severe impacts on the movie as a whole, at least how I'm going to watch it. And 3 from Hell is one of those instances where I was just like, if the CG is so bad and you needed to save money, then one, just don't do the film just yet. Wait until you got the money to do it right. But it's taking, I want the 3 from Hell to get murdered in a brutal fashion. I'm not one of these people that's like, oh, you're rooting for them now, they're the anti-hero. No, dude, they fucked dead people. I'm not rooting for them. I heard a couple of horror fans talking like that. Like, oh, well, they're the anti-hero. No, they're not. No, they're not. They are villains. They are fucking villains. Just because the film centers around the 3 of them more so than it does, like, the detectives on the case does not mean that we should root for them. Yeah, they're pretty good characters. R.I.P. Sid Haig. I fucking love Bill Moseley. I actually am not a hater of Sherry Moon Zombie. I think she's quite all right. However, fucking rooting for them. Y'all horror fans are fucking something else. I tell you what. You baffle me. You fucking baffle me. But does Legend, yes, we're still talking about Legend. Does Legend play as well in the new times? The content does, sure. Well, even though I may have think it doesn't feel as original now that you've had The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and Avatar and all these very world-building movies. But if it gets released now under the new umbrella of Hollywood visual effects, even if ILM's doing it, it's not playing the same way that it does for me. I'm fully engulfed in this world, and I'm in the minority, and I'm sure there's a lot of even like older filmmakers that may or may not listen to this show that have been around the block that are like 50, 60 years old, and hey, I have knowledge of both. I was on set when you had to edit the old school way, as opposed to now. I was on set when we were trying to get the pyrotechnics down pat, and now we can just use fake fire. Look, I get it. I'm just telling you as a viewer, art is not safe, and that includes the people making it. So, I don't know. Take that for what it's worth. It's just, I had not seen the film in many, many years, and I cannot tell you just how annoyed I was at the theatrical version. Like, the director's cut is so much more robust than the theatrical cut. I'm just going to go on record. I'm sure I probably said it before, but I'm going to say it again. Can we just release the films that we were intended to see it? I don't give a fuck about testing audiences, dude. I don't. And I know, like, we have to make these. You want to make money, so you don't want to put anything out there that people aren't enjoying. But I don't know, like, after all the extended cuts of The Lord of the Rings were released, I think it should just be, don't fuck with the filmmaker's vision. Don't fuck with the babysitter. Adventures in Babysitting, Elizabeth Shue. But don't fuck with the filmmaker. Like, I don't know. It almost plays like two different films. Like, one, I swear to God, is the director's cut is like this fucking indie band that you know is going to be fucking big one day. And the theatrical cut is fucking cotton ball, top 40. It's not drivel. Like, look, it's not like the movie's completely different. But, like, if you have two different endings, like the theatrical cut, everybody's, yeah. The director's cut, fucking one of the last things we see is Tim Curry laughing. The Lord of Darkness laughing. And in the theatrical cut, it's fucking, they run off into the distance with fairies and shit. For me, let's keep it open-ended. You know, I say that shit. I tell people all the time, like Breaking Bad and stuff. You want to know when Breaking Bad should have ended? The second to last episode, when he's in that fucking dive bar and he's watching his friends, Walter White is watching his friends talk about him, and they were just like saying, we don't recognize that guy anymore. And 5 minutes later, the cops bust into the dive bar, and all you see is the drank that has been drunk and a tip and just a little fizzle of smoke. Instead of what we got, which was a fucking trunk gun. I'm sorry. No. That's going to be a no from your boy. Because I just like open-endedness. I don't know why there is this obsession with closure. I don't get it. In terms of fucking film, and I get, closure is a necessity in real life, but Jesus Christ, I don't need to go to the movie and just be like, yes, finality. I don't need it. In fact, I tell people this all the time, I like pondering. Ooh, what is the Lord of Darkness going to... What kind of hijinks and shenanigans is he going to get in next in Legend Part 2? And speaking of Part 2 in Ridley Scott, let me get this straight. We're not going to get a Legend Part 2. I don't think anyone's clamoring for it, but I would watch a Legend Part 2. We're not going to get a Legend Part 2, but we're going to get a Gladiator Part 2. That had finality. If you haven't seen that one, the 25 years it's been out, Russell Crowe dies. Why are we having a Gladiator Part 2? I don't want to see a Gladiator franchise. It's personal opinion. I'm not interested in the Gladiator franchise at all. That movie was great when it came out. Let's move on. I almost feel like to some extent, it's like, well, you know what we should do? Fucking Saving Private Ryan and Schindler's List 2. No, we shouldn't. We should not at all. Some movies are best left at one. It's kind of like, what is that film that I was talking about? Oh, with the fellas, Paul Robinson, and we're talking about Threshold, and the way that ended is so good. I don't need a fucking a sequel. I don't know. I guess I really get bent out of shape about it just because. Why can't you enjoy what you saw and we can move on? And let those filmmakers do something different. Let these actors, actresses, and shit do something different. Like Marvel movies are fine and all, but I kind of low-key feel bad for people like Mark Ruffalo and Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. that had to play one thing basically for a decade plus. Show a little respect. And this is coming from a toxic fan who wants people, when I heard Tom Hardy was going to give up acting, I became very toxic. I was like, no, you must entertain me until I die. But I digress. When I read that Gladiator 2 was a fucking thing the other day, I was just like, what the fuck are we doing? fucking, we got this theatrical cut where Tom Cruise and Mia Sara run off into the fucking flowers with fairies and fucking... And then the director's cut tells it how it is. Lord of Darkness isn't dead just because they got the unicorn's horn back. Go on now. I think this all started when I was reading off the bonus features, Remembering a Legend. A brand new featurette interviewing Grip David Cadwallader, production supervisor Hugh Harlow, costume designer Charles Node, co-star Annabelle Lanyon, camera operator Peter MacDonald, set decorator... Oh, my God. The fucking set designers on this. I've said it once, I'll say it again. Fucking... at a level of eliteness that we may never see again. That's right. Because now we can just be like, hey, computer boy, make this set look cooler. I don't like that. I don't like that. Back in the day, you had to fucking partner with your cinematographer and be like, hey, how are these leaves reflecting off the light? And now you can control all that with a computer. I don't know. I just think some of the art gets lost when we have updates on it. No? Well. Hamana. Set decorator Ann Mallow, draftsman John Ralph. The Music of Legend, a two-part featurette focusing on the scores of both versions with film music experts Jeff Bond and Daniel Schweiger. And Austin Garrick and Bronwyn Griffin from the band Electric Youth. The Creatures of Legend, a two-part featurette looking at Rob Botton's makeup effects with illustrator Martin A. Klein and makeup effects artist Nick Dudman. Incarnations of a Legend, a comparison featurette written and narrated by critic Travis Crawford, which I really enjoyed, discussing the differences between the various versions of the film. The Directors, Ridley Scott, a 2003 documentary in which the director discusses his career up till that point, including Legend. Opening narration for the edited for television version, and the music video for Is Your Love Strong Enough, which I was singing for like a week straight after I watched this. What else we got? High definition presentations of the U.S. theatrical cut and director's cut of the film, DTS Master 2.0 stereo. This is one thing that I noticed. While I do like the original audio that Arrow puts on, they use the original audio from when the film was first made, and while cool from a physical media collector standpoint, I prefer the 5.1 or the 7.1 DTS Master Audio. It's just personal preference. The shit hit different. I know that it's been modified. Do I got to sneeze? Anyway. But I do, like, even, and I don't need, it's not like I have a system in my car, so I don't need, like, the bass. But when tear strikes, or the like, and there's that, when the sub hits, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit more engaged than with a 2.0 stereo original cut. Optional English subtitles, illustrated perfect bound book featuring new writing on the film by Nicholas Clement, Kat Ellinger, I fucking love Kat, and Simon Ward, plus archive materials, including original production notes and a 2002 interview with Charles de Lauzirika about the restoration of the director's cut. And what else do you get in this? A large fold-out double-sided poster with newly commissioned artwork by Neil Davies. Neil Davies is going to be working for a while as long as Arrow stays afloat. Fuck, he's going to keep on working. And original theatrical artwork by John Alvin. Glossy full-color portraits of the cast photographed by Annie Leibovitz. 6 double-sided postcard-sized lobby card reproductions, limited edition packaging with reversible sleeve, featuring newly commissioned artwork by Neil Davies and original theatrical artwork by John Alvin. What does Disc 2 have? Audio commentary by director Ridley Scott, Creating a Myth, Memories of a Legend, an archive documentary from 2002 featuring interviews with Ridley Scott, William Hjortsberg, Mia Sara, Tim Curry, Rob Botton, and several other cast and crew members. That was a good one. Long, but a good one. Original promotional featurette, the deleted scenes, the alternate Four Goblins opening, and the fairy dance. Yeah, I mean, the two openings of this film, one, you get like a fucking scripture, like the opening to Monster Squad, and the other one, it's just not even there. It's just not even there. 2 drafts of William Hjortsberg's screenplay, alternate footage from the overseas release, plus textless footage, 3 theatrical trailers, and 4 TV spots, and a partridge in a pear tree. Who was the production designer on this? Or I don't remember off the top of my head, but we've reached our limit. I don't like going over 30 minutes anymore. Will you please get this Arrow video release of Legend? Please. It is one of the best releases that I have had the pleasure of looking at. And I mean, if you guys look at my catalog over the last 2-3 months, a lot of Arrow video stuff, this is one of my favorites. This is one of my, I'm just a sucker for creature effects, and I'm just a big kid. I'm just a big Guillermo del Toro. That's all or a small Guillermo del Toro. That's all there is to it. I fucking love this release. Arrow video release of Legend. Arrow video release of 1985's Legend. Oh, Ridley Scott with another banger. I feel bad, though, because the last Duel that he just did tanked, and I was not in the theater like I should have been. I have not been in the theater for a while now, and the only thing it has to do with is my goddamn schedule. Ellis Cinema. Arrow Video's release of Legend. Available now. And it is so much good stuff on this disc. And it's a world full of magic, wonder, and desire. So good. Ellis Cinema, Arrow Video's release of Legend. I'm gone.